score in half.
Statistically, at halftime, the Falcons have somehow overcome 4 turnovers. They had another negated by a pass interference call. Total yards, 225 to 141.
And only 7 points off those 4 turnovers. That's not what the coach had in mind. You can't ask any more of your defense than what Pettibone's defense has given Gibbs' offense so far today. It's such a morale killer when your offense doesn't take advantage of those turnovers and convert them into points.
Graphically demonstrated by the starting field position for the Redskins, their own 45. And despite that, 14 points. Washington will get the ball to start the second half. And a lot of folks with more sense than emotion have stayed inside for the second half. There's some empty seats now. They'll be back. You're right. Norm Johnson will kick off for the Falcons. 14-7, Washington. Mitchell to the 20, breaks the tackle. And Ken Pippin makes contact and downs him at the 38-yard line. That's a return of 35 yards for Brian Mitchell. And the pleasant conversations continue on the field.
And a lot of the attention, you see Robert Lyles is back. That's a good sign for the Falcons. But a lot of the attention has gone to Deion Sanders and his kick returning ability. But Mitchell is among the leaders in his own right as the Redskins open up the second half, as they did the first half with the no-huddle offense.
Ripping 50% in the first half. First down and 10. Hands it off. Ernest Biner on the right side. And they will hustle back and try and line up again. The Falcons do send in defensive substitutions.
Want to get their nickel personnel in the game because the Redskins have the posse in there, and we're in a passing formation now.
2nd and 7. 14-7. Washington leads it. They test the left side, and Biner out of the tackle of Jesse Tuggle for a yard or 2. Ernest Biner, 1,000 yards this season, second consecutive. What a trade that was for the Redskins when they sent Mike Oliphant to the Cleveland Browns for Ernest Biner.
And Biner has paid him off with 2 straight 1,000-yard rushing seasons.
12 rushes today for 54 yards. And Stephen Hobbs is a late addition to the Redskin offensive huddle.
And they better hustle. It's down under 10 seconds to go on the play clock.
Monk in motion. They just did get the ball snapped. Rippon. Incomplete. The 50. They'll have to punt. Tracy Eaton, number 32, with the defensive effort.
And Art Monk took his eye off the ball, and he looked at Eaton. That's why he dropped that one. Eaton coming with the big hit. Monk would have had the first down.
Kelly Goodburn back to punt for the 3rd time. We've not seen an all-out Atlanta rush. Deion Sanders signaled fair catch on one. Low snap. Here comes the rush. And it's a line drive punt. Sanders will let it roll. And it's beneficial for the Redskins. It limps to a stop at the 17-yard line. John Brandis has been having trouble with the snap, and this one rolled back to Kelly Goodburn.
It's about a 3-hopper to Goodburn. He does a great job of getting rid of it, as Eaton almost got his left hand on it, and the ball rolled all the way inside the 20-yard line. But this is not a good start for the Redskins here in the second half. You talk about momentum. The fans are trying to whip the Redskins into shape, but right now, the Falcons have got that momentum we talked about.
Well, despite 4 turnovers, they gave up only 14 points. They went 80 yards right before halftime, got a touchdown from Tracy Johnson, and now they have the ball back. Opening drive for Atlanta in the second half. Miller slips and falls. That'll be a sack. That's not a coverage sack. That's a weather sack.
Yeah, the puddle got him right about the 10-yard line. You can draw up all kinds of pass patterns and pass protection, but if the field is as bad as this one is, there's just no way a mobile quarterback such as Chris Miller can deal with this terrible footing. This really hurts the Falcons because Chris is one of the better quarterbacks, especially in this offense, of moving around and finding receivers down the field.
The intensity of the rain increases. 2 seconds on the play clock. Miller's going to have to hurry. Gets it called. Johnson stuck. It'll be 3rd and 17 at the 10-yard line. You know, we talked about how loose this Atlanta Falcon team is. Yesterday, on the plane coming up from Atlanta, there was a clothing contest between the wide receivers and the defensive backs.
I think you call them fashion shows, Vern.
Well, clothing contest, fashion show.
And it was between the wide receivers and the defensive backs, judged by the offensive line.
Chris Hinton was the ultimate judge. He made it 50-49. He said the DBs were penalized because Tim McKyer did not have a cuff on his pants and wore a plastic belt. 50-49, wide receivers won it. It'll be 4th down.
And how important was that weather sack, as you called it, on 1st down, Vern? Miller falling in the mud puddle down there, and then 2 straight handoffs for absolutely nothing.
Well, again, the Redskins are going to come out of this in terrific shape. Their problem is an inability to do anything with that good field position. Scott Fulhage is back in the end zone. His 4th punt. Brian Mitchell waits at the 48. Short. Mitchell. Yard line. The average better than 13 yards per punt return this season. This one, 27 yards.
He makes a great catch on the one hop there, and now because it was a low kick, there's just not enough black shirts down the field. And then the determination of Mitchell puts the ball inside the 20-yard line.
Special teams coach Bobby April for the Falcons. And Mark Rippon, who is really having only an average day. He hands it off to Ervins. It goes right. And they gain a couple to the 17-yard line.
Special teams play is so magnified in the playoff games and in games where the weather is a factor. Already today we've seen Chip Lohmiller miss 3 field goals. And now it becomes a battle of field position as Goodburn gets off a fantastic punt on a bad snap, and the Redskins get the big return from Brian Mitchell.
2nd and 9, 10:22 to go, 3rd quarter, 14-7. Washington leads it, heavily favored in this game. Rippon, that's coverage downfield, and he somehow underarms that ball and gets it to Ricky Ervins for a modest gain. It'll be 3rd and about 6.
Got a flag down in the secondary. Question is, with a offensive lineman downfield, it was a screen pass all the way. Rippon had to hold it a long time.
And that is the call, preliminary signal.
You really can't blame those offensive linemen because they have no idea if the quarterback is forced to hold this ball. But good coverage by the Falcons as they smelled out that screen pass and forced the Redskins down.
Ineligible man downfield, number 69 of the offense. 10 yards, still 2nd down.
Here's Schlereth right here, and watch as he comes out on the screen how long Rippon has to hold this ball before he delivers it to Ricky Ervins. The coverage here on the outside, as Ervins just gets caught up in the defensive lineman. Rick Bryan with the play there. And there you see not only Schlereth, but Bostic was downfield.
Jim Lachey, by the way, is back in the lineup playing with a knee sprain. That's good news for the Redskins. Second down and 19. 14-7 is the score. Washington leads. Four-man rush this time. Rippon deep left side. Man open. Caught Art Monk. And belted out of bounds by Scott Case in front of Deion Sanders.
Vern, when I played in San Diego with Charlie Joyner, Art Monk is on the outside here, and he's going to run the deep comeback route as I draw terribly. But the thing about Charlie and Art Monk is they're like security blankets for a quarterback. You always know they're going to find a spot in that secondary to pick up a big play.
3rd and 1. 3rd and 2 make it officially. Ervins. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. And if they don't get the first down, given the problems Lohmiller, oh, they got it. So it's not a conversation worth pursuing. He did get the first down.
Well, let's pursue it anyway. I think Gibbs would have gone for it on 4th down. Because even if you don't make it down here, you're forcing Atlanta to take over deep in their own end in a very sloppy field.
Ervins again. Gets by Tim Green. Slips another tackle. Case bumped him out of bounds. Inside the 5.
You know, Ricky wears that number 32. He went to USC, and probably the greatest running back on a bad field that I've ever seen is O.J. Simpson. Ricky Ervins putting on a pretty good show here for just a rookie, 3rd-round pick from SC.
Boy, he talked about getting a wide base. He doesn't need to obtain much. He's got one to start with.
200 pounds on just 5'7" inches. It's coming in handy for him right now as the Redskins set up inside the 5.
And again, they call on the short yardage specialist, Gerald Riggs. He was the beat man in the off. It's Riggs. And his erstwhile teammates jam him up. It'll be 3rd down.
Easy to pick out Riggs. He's got the cleanest uniform out there. Interesting now with the ball on about the 1 or 2 yard line that Gibbs elects to bring in his wide receiver package and take out his jumbo guys of Middleton, Warren, and Russ Grimm. Actually, Warren's going to stay in, but they still have the posse in there.
Miner is the running back. He lines up on the right side. 3rd down and goal. Clark in motion coming back. And a flag has been thrown. Delay of game, 5 yards, Washington. Tim Green celebrates.
Delay by the offense, no play, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
Really question that use of personnel by Gibbs. I'm not really sure if he knew exactly where the ball was on the field, whether it was that close to the end zone or not. But now he's forced into using a passing formation now, although he comes in with his 3 tight ends. So it's a real guessing game here. But one of those tight ends is Terry Orr, who's caught 4 touchdown passes this year.
The Middleton was in the huddle, then came out. Terry Orr came in. 3rd and goal, 7:07 to go. 3rd quarter. Monk in motion. Ripping back, pumped once, twice. Incomplete. It'll be 4th down. Gary Clark, the intended receiver.
Well, this is what Rippon is trying to find is Clark in the middle. He's got Monk to the corner, but with just a 3-man rush, the 8-man secondary is just too much for Clark and Rippon. He had a lot of time to throw, but not a lot of room to throw the ball in.
Lohmiller tries to get his first in 4 attempts, 24 yards out, and he does manage to end the goose egg. Chip Lohmiller from 24. And that increases the Redskin lead 17-7.
During that, the commercial, he was going up and down the sidelines, patting people on the back and really giving Chris Miller a boost.
Deion Sanders, touchback. So the Falcons have it back. They trail by 10, 17-7.
So I'm doing my sound check. Hello. Can I hear this woman's voice?
Crunch that last card.
To get them dry, it warms your hands up when you put them back on.
Or other parts of your anatomy.
I wish I'd thought about that in Cincinnati one year.
About 40 below, as I recall.
At least.
Out of the shotgun, 17-7. Rain has increased again. Miller slips again. Fires it left side, incomplete. And Chris Miller gets up a little muddier than he was when he went down. Well,
now he's got to worry about getting his hands dry and getting him free of mud. But he does slip again as he sets. But being the good athlete that he is, he righted himself to get rid of that one, but then he takes the nosedive into the muck and mire.
why do I think if John Madden is watching this, he is loving it? John and Pat, of course, will be with you in Detroit tomorrow. Dallas and Detroit. Winner of that game plays the winner of this one for the NFC Championship. Miller got Pritchard first down at the 35. Wilbur Marshall with the tackle. That's a gain of 15, and Marshall gestures toward the Atlanta bench.
One thing that the Falcons have not been able to do is get the ball to Michael Haynes yet. He has 0 catches. Pritchard now has 3 and Risen 5, but their big weapon has been taken away by a combination of Gerald Green's tight coverage and the zone defenses of the Redskins.
Michael Haynes, the hero of last week's win in New Orleans. And a man of blazing speed, perhaps negated on this field. There's Risen. Out to the 43 where you could hear the collision.
One thing a player such as Risen has to worry about, obviously, is his footing, but also pulling a muscle out here, trying to make too many moves. This is real dangerous field, and Risen would be well advised to forget about running for a touchdown, get as much yardage straight up the field as he possibly can.
Andre Rison, who in regular season this year came up with 81 catches. He has 215 in his first 3 years, more than any other player after 3 years in the history of the league. Surpassing Sterling Sharp of Green Bay and Tom Fears, who played a couple of years ago. Miller, incomplete. He went for Haynes this time. Michael Haynes, who took a circuitous route to the National Football League, graduated from Clark High School in New Orleans, and then went to Eastern Arizona Junior College. Followed some classmates who played football. He only played in the band and ran track. We asked him yesterday, exactly where is Thatcher? Oh, it's easy. It's a 2.5-hour drive east of Phoenix.
And then he went to northern Arizona, which is the other direction.
Third down. Caught. First down. Mike Pritchard. So it has been the rookie from Colorado, along with Andre Rison, who has supplied the most potent offensive force so far today.
Talk about a big third down conversion there. A fresh set of downs for Miller to work with, trailing only by 10 points.
4:35 remaining.
See, Miller's got his ear holes taped shut. That's to keep the wind from whistling in there, making it easier for him to hear.
How about keeping the crowd out? Draw play. Eric Pegram. Just a couple. Kurt Gavea playing in place of Matt Millen. It is not pleasant. Tim Green is thinking back to those collegiate days in the warmth of Syracuse in December.
Playing indoors at the Carrier Dome, a little bit different than what we're seeing here.
That guy needs fashion help. We ought to get him with Chris Hinton.
Well, you see Duke's rolling the ball around in the mud. I don't think Miller's going to like that.
Miller, Pritchard, first down at the 37-yard line. And Freilich and Johnson having a quiet conversation. That is a gain of 13 for the Falcons.
But you know, Duke has to get a good grip on this ball, too, for this short snap from center. Perfect snap as he dead balls it to Miller's right hand. But the protection is there again for Miller, and Pritchard's having a big day working across the middle.
Mike Pritchard, the rookie from Colorado. Wilbur Marshall coming in late just to make sure he stayed down in the battle in the trenches. That's Freilich and Johnson. And it's 1st and 10, out of the shotgun again. Rising at the 30.
Rising picked up a little mud and threw it back, and the guys had tackled him. I'm talking about Sandlot here. He was driven down head first into the mud and picked up a handful and threw it at the guy. I'm not sure there's a penalty in the NFL for that.
Mud throwing.
Yeah. This is really a grudge match.
Jesse Ventura ought to be here.
He would love it. Watch Rising as he's driven back by Edwards and Gavea. He'll pick up a little bit of mud and toss it at him. Illegal use of mud.
Miller down at the 40. 3rd sack. The ancient wonder, Monty Coleman, who said last night he wants to play 15 years in this league, which means he needs 2 more.
He came up with probably the biggest play here so far, because that puts Atlanta in a 3rd and long situation, and Miller will be facing a secondary that will drop 7.
1:38 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Outlaws are gaining on the posse. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Every Western I've seen, it went the other way. Jason Phillips down at the 29. It'll be 4th down. And I would expect Norm Johnson to come on. He has been perfect inside 45 yards this season.
But he won't have a tougher attempt than this one coming up.
17 of 17 inside 45 for the regular season. 2 of 2 on the artificial surface in the dry climate of the Superdome last week. And this will be exactly 45. Acquired week 3 after being placed on waivers by Seattle. Full Haig to hold. First miss from that distance. Understandable.
It looked like a carbon copy of the 3 Lohmiller misses. Good snap, good hold, but the ball just stays wide right.
If I want to keep playing baseball, I'm going to have to keep working. There's no off season anymore. Every day it's just me and a pile of iron.
In the mud, Jason Phillips gets the piggyback ride from Charles Mann.
Never want to take the child out of the man, and they have it here. First down and 10. Minor, Tuggle. Nothing.
Another big hit from Jesse Tuggle. Gibbs says he's the best middle linebacker in football. That is saying a mouthful as we end a 3rd quarter that moved along quite rapidly, Vern.
Did indeed. Only 3 points scored in the quarter. Those by Chip Lohmiller, the short field goal. And they will allow the quarter to expire. Mike Pritchard attending to a sore left ankle. Pritchard with 5 catches so far. That's the end of the third quarter from RFK Stadium. 17-7. Redskins up over Atlanta by 10. Redskins at home leading the Atlanta Falcons 17-7. Atlanta has had problems in the fourth quarter in regular season, having been outscored 126-84. And they are also trying to win here for the first time ever. Second down. Redskins have it. 15 minutes to go. Winner gets either Dallas or Detroit. That is in the minor. And it's a moderate game.
And you think that would be bad news, the fact that they've been outscored in the fourth quarter. Well, the real bad news is that the Redskins have outscored their opponents all year by 90 points in the fourth quarter.
Wake-up call.
Think about having the odds against you, but that's exactly where Glanville and the Falcons want to be.
Well, and under Joe Gibbs, the Redskins have lost at home in the playoffs just once. Chicago Bears beat them here in 1984. That's it. And they have a 10-point edge and the ball. 3-man rush by the Falcons. Rippon deep left side for Clark, incomplete. And it'll be fourth down, and so Atlanta will get it back. Well, we've talked about the difference in the reputations, the perceptions of the two teams. It begins with the head coaches, of course. Last night, Dan and I met with Joe Gibbs at Redskin Park about 8:30, dressed in a coat and tie. He was going to a chapel service. Then we went back to our hotel where the Falcons were staying, and who was in the lobby dressed in black? Not Johnny Cash. That man.
That man and his partner, Jerry Jeff Walker, putting on a very impromptu country western concert in the lobby.
Entertained until long past players' curfew. Glanville said he didn't have one for himself. Flags are down. I should say he doesn't have one for himself. And how did they spend New Year's Eve? Here's the penalty call.
Ball start. Number 99 of the offense before the ball was snapped. 5 yards, still fourth down.
Jason Buck is guilty of the call.
Red can barely keep his eyes open for the rain that's falling.
Talked about Jerry Glanville on New Year's Eve back in Atlanta. Had a buddy pick him up and said they went out for a little while. The buddy was Hank Williams Jr.
Went to 3 different clubs where they were charging a modest cover charge, just $2. And who do they get to see perform but Bo Cephas?
Low snap. Got it away. Good one. Deion Sanders at the 31. Got some room. Not enough. Down at the 41-yard line. Here comes the late flag. 16 on the return of a 43-yard punt. And it's against Atlanta.
Boy, big mistake on the special teams. Sanders had a very good return, but it's going to be pushed back 10 yards for the illegal block.
During the run back. Number 41 of the receivers. Be a 10-yard penalty. First down at 10.
Look of dismay on the face of the special teams coach, Bobby April. We'll return to RFK Stadium after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
This is CBS.
The Washington Redskins led by 7 at the half. They've increased it to 10, but Chris Miller and the Falcons have the football at their own 32-yard line. Last 3 drives for Chris Miller.
Well, we talked about how do you overcome all those interceptions, and Chris has done quite well by just hanging in there and throwing the ball.
Looks like he's bored. Taking a big yawn.
That's one of those anxiety yawns.
There seems to be a problem of communications with the replay booth, and they're checking those out.
Oh, no, let's not fix it, though.
Let it be.
Let's not waste time fixing that. We got a great game going here. The one thing about the crowd noise and how it affects Miller, he says it really doesn't give his offense that many problems because they don't audible a lot, especially in the 4 wide receiver package that they like to go with. They have so many routes that are adjusted on the run by the receivers. It's not up to Miller to change the play at the line of scrimmage that often.
1st and 10, Atlanta. Down by 10. Mayhew backs off. On the near side, that pass is caught by Michael Haynes, and then he fumbles. Redskin ball in the arms of Wilbur Marshall. 5 Atlanta turnovers.
And this may have been Miller's best throw of the day. A long out pattern to Michael Haynes. And he has to squeeze it between defenders here. There's the catch. And then the hit from the backside by Andre Collins, and Wilbur Marshall with another takeaway for the Redskins.
5 Atlanta turnovers. They had 6 in losing 56-17 here before. And, gosh, Dan, I think they may have gotten the communications fixed to the replay booth.
Yeah, look what they did, Vern. Bob Wagner now has a walkie-talkie in his hand there. And they're reviewing
it. On the field, we have a catch, a fumble, a recovery by the defense. The play is being reviewed by instant replay.
Yeah, that's what they're using.
Now he wants somebody to turn it on for him so that he can communicate. Watch this catch, and then the hit by number 55, Collins, as he drills Haynes in the back and pops it loose. Now, what are they reviewing? Obviously a catch. Haynes made the catch, turned around and got hit, and then was
falling to review by the replay official. The play stands.
Absolutely.
And I think it was Kurt Gavea who got the hit. There it is. And the play does stand. 5 turnovers. And 1st down and 10, Washington at the 48-yard line. With the Ervins in the lineup.
Well, that 5th turnover could be the one that does in this Falcon group. Sure, we have 13 and a half minutes to go, but the Redskins are working now a field position game. They have the ball inside of Atlanta territory, and they'll be real content to take time off the clock and push the Falcons deeper.
They stay in the 2 tight ends, Warren and Middleton. Jerry Orr is in at the spot normally occupied by the fullback. Ken Pippins with the tackle of Ricky Ervins. That'll bring up 3rd down. Pippins, who spent some time with the Dallas Cowboys before winding up in Atlanta. And, of course, Dallas and Detroit play tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern Time on CBS. John and Pat are there, and they'll play on 2 of John Madden's least favorite things. He hates artificial surface and indoor stadiums.
Yeah, John, if you're listening, eat your heart out. We're having a ball here in the mud and rain and wind and dirt.
Mike Ken, 14 years in the league. Hoping to play one more game at least this year, but his team needs to stiffen. Here's Rippon. That's caught, and it might be enough to move the chain. Very close. Gary Clark.
They're going to give it to him with forward progress here.
Well, we talked about Johnny Pack and the rest of our crew in Detroit tomorrow. Of course, the All-Madden team will be announced January 19th at 5 o'clock. It's the 8th annual All-Madden team.
And John awards some of the most beautiful trophies to the members of the All-Madden team. And those trophies and plaques are made by a former teammate of mine, Big Ed White, a closet artist in his own right.
And a former coach with the San Diego Chargers.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
There's a lot of former coaches around nowadays.
Ervins inside the 40 at the 38. The clock is down to 11:30 remaining in the ball game.
Yeah, and you're noticing no quick huddles for the Redskins. Time is of the essence now. for Rippon, as he'll run the play clock down to inside 5 seconds. And this is unusual because there's 11 minutes to go in the game, but with 10 points down and this bad field wind, tough for the Falcons to get back in it if the Redskins score here.
That 5th turnover may have been the night. Ervins, and he is stopped short of the first down at the 35-yard line. And the clock at 10:45 and winding down. Redskins heavily favored, 14-2 for the year. Under Joe Gibbs, of course, they have won 2 Super Bowls, favored to win it again this year.
We talked about how they led the league in third down conversions, hitting over 50%. Well, today they're right around 33%. And this is a big one coming up.
3rd and 4. 10:15 to go in the ball game. Big play. First down, Ricky Ervins.
This is why they call them the Hogs. They are at home here in this pigsty. McKenzie and Lachey on the counter tray, the trademark play of the Washington Redskins. And a big first down for Ricky Ervins.
Where do they go after the game?
Anywhere they want.
Not those guys, the other guys. Washington will go with 3 tight ends. Mark Schlereth will play in the Pro Bowl this year. This will be the 7th play of the drive, and they've chewed up 4.5 already. And the clock shows 9:15 to go.
And every time the ball is snapped and they run a running play, they're taking 40 seconds off that clock. So every time you convert a third down, that's 2 minutes.
And they'll let it wind down now. Mark Rippon. Mark is couldn't have picked a better time to have a great year. Rippon, Leslie told you on the NFL Today, he spent $20,000 buying watches for his linemen. He's got a new contract coming up.
And the first name he mentioned when we talked to him about his contract was "Thank you, Dan," as in Dan Marino, for raising the ceiling a bit.
Right. You like to have the curve going up. Rippon, backfield, hit incomplete for Gary Clark. It'll be 3rd down. Clark also spent the holidays here. Of course, the Redskins had the week off, and he is from Canada originally, but he flew his mom and 2 brothers and a sister-in-law and a sister down here to spend the Christmas holidays with the Rippon family. Anticipating a little larger paycheck next year.
Yeah, that $20,000 that he forked out to buy Rolexes is going to look like chump change when he gets through.
Redskins only 5 of 13 today. Clock at 8:28, 3rd and 9. All-out blitz. Rippon reads it. First down at the 15. Perfect. In front of Deion Sanders. Gary Clark with the catch.
This is 3 straight third down conversions for the 14-2, soon to be 15-2 Redskins. Good patience by Clark, pushes off just a touch, and then the perfect low throw by Rippon makes it an easy grab for this very wet Gary Clark.
There are a couple of decent football players coming for a rest. Art Monk, Gary Clark. 1st and 10, Washington. 7:48 remaining.
Deion had perfect coverage. It was just a perfect throw by Rippon.
Ervins inside the 10. Or just at the 10. See where they spot it.
We talked about how Glanville said that being beaten by 39 points by the Redskins 2 months ago was a case of the Redskins trying to break the spirit of the Falcons and trying to touch their soul. A little cowboy poetry. Well, right now, that spirit is being broken by a powerful Redskin offense.
driver's minivan airbag standard in the...
5 Atlanta turnovers. Amazingly, they have led to only 7 Washington points. But that has been a big, big factor in the game. Chip Lohmiller has missed 3 field goals. And now the Redskins, leading by 10 with 7:31 to go, have a second down at the Atlanta 10-yard line. And they will keep it on the ground again. Ricky Ervins down to the 7-yard line.
We may be seeing a changing of the guard for the Redskins on this drive. It has been Ricky Ervins. In fact, today, he's been the main guy on the ground for the Redskins. 77 yards now on 18 carries. And Gibbs is putting the ball in his hand on this all-important drive.
Time has been called by the Atlanta Falcons. They have 1 left.
Your
feet above RFK, and the rain continues, though it's lessened a little bit. 7:24 remaining. How about the work of the offensive line of the Washington Redskins on this drive?
Well, they've been perfect on third down conversions, 3 for 3, and they've really taken over. We've seen the counter tray play. Ervins has carried 8 times in this drive for 29 yards, but it's
When you live.
front that are doing the job.
3rd and 3. And Griffin will throw. He hasn't been sacked yet today. Had Ervins, who was going backwards, and a flag is down.
Deep in the end zone.
Bizarre carnival.
Open.
Defensive holding, that'll be a first down.
Holding, number 21 on the offense.
Okay, say it, Red.
Distance to the goal. First down.
It's one of my 2 favorite calls. The other one was Ben Bright. That's 15 yards. He's given him the business.
Glanville has been criticized for his team lacking discipline. This is only the 3rd penalty of the day against the Falcons, but that will probably do it for Glanville as the Redskins take over inside the 5 with a fresh set of downs.
113 penalties in regular season. Gerald Riggs is the deep back in the eye. It's Riggs to the 1. .7:05 to go.
And they started this drive about 6.5 minutes ago after the 5th turnover, Michael Haynes' fumble.
138 yards on the ground for the Redskins today. And they are up by 10. At home next week against either Dallas or Detroit. Detroit, of course, lost here 45-0 game number 1. The Cowboys won here week number 11. Riggs. And that should put the period to the paragraph. And a dagger in the heart of the Atlanta Falcon hopes.
The CIA. I don't, you don't speak English? You have very beautiful eyes for a man. I got a bad feeling. I can't even swim. Hell, will probably kill you.
What was the signal?
I think it was touchdown. It's going to take him an hour to pick them all up.
Looks like somebody spilled mustard.
I think there's a flag down on the field, Vern, but I couldn't tell you where or what it was for.
Thirteen plays, 52 yards, 7:20 on the clock. And Chip Lohmiller's extra point to come. Nice hole by Jeff Rutledge. Nice run by Gerald Riggs.
This is Riggs' 13th touchdown rushing of the year.
How will the field be? Let's go down to Pat O'Brien.
All right, Vern, thank you. And Tony Burnett, you got your hands full for next week. How bad is the film?
The field's really not. We don't anticipate it being that bad. We're going to pray for a better weather forecast, naturally, but we're already starting. We're pumping the field down right now. We're going to cover it up and pump it down, and we'll come in tomorrow and start working on it.
Feel good about this, then?
Well, we're winning with this field. I don't know. Maybe this is the type of field we need here. I don't know, but we're certainly going to work on it and try to produce the best field we can.
Have a nice week. Thank you. You guys, I had to go pick up some seat cushions. I'll see you later.
Okay, Pat. Sounds like the groundskeeper knows Al Davis. Keep it muddy. Sanders. And he slips as he was about to break loose.
There was one man between Sanders and the goal line, and that was the kicker, Chip Lohmiller. And that muddy field made the tackle. Happy New Year.
To an end for the Atlanta Falcons. 5-5 after losing here by 39. 1-5 in a row, lost in Dallas. Won in New Orleans last week. Only the second playoff win ever for the franchise. The last was in 1978. But they haven't had the ball enough in the fourth quarter to matter. Here's Miller. That one is incomplete. And Sidney Johnston made sure it was. Chris Miller was telling us last night, Dan, the one thing he hated about losing that game 56-17 here, even though he didn't play, was hearing "Hail to the Redskins" sung by these fans 8 different times after every touchdown.
I can relate to that, Vern. Going back to my college days at the University of Oregon, we played Oklahoma in Norman, and they played Boomer Sooner after every time they scored, and their band was right behind our bench. Well, they scored 68 points. I learned all 12 verses of that stupid song one day.
2nd and 10. Chased by Fred Stokes. Caught by Fred Stokes. That's the 4th sack. And the celebration begins in the Redskin bench. They are at home next week against either Dallas or Detroit. They'll be favored no matter the opponent. I get a sense they would just as soon have Detroit come in here.
There's something about Dallas. These fans know it. They've been chanting, "We want Dallas. We want Dallas," in the timeout.
And Joe Gibbs is turning around saying, "No, no."
There's no way the Redskins want to play the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to beat Detroit tomorrow, and that's exactly what we'll see next week. A fantastic game between a couple of bitter rivals.
Dallas and Detroit in the Silverdome tomorrow, where the Lions, not to put them to sleep too quickly, are 8-0 this year. Incomplete for Miller. And, of course, that game tomorrow at 3:30. This is hammer time, not the kind of hammer time you wanted.
But that shows me a lot. The Hammer stuck around. He could have easily gotten in one of those big old limos and taken a hike. But he is too legit to quit. Oh, boy. I wish I hadn't said that.
I wish you hadn't either. Here's Chris Miller.
Oh, the frustration. Rough day for Chris Miller.
17 of 31 for 178. 4th and 19. And not to do, but go for it. Intercepted. Monty Coleman. How appropriate for this veteran leader of the Redskin team. An 11th round draft choice out of Central Arkansas in 9. Oh, Brandis has got it down.
Miller just trying to make something happen. Not quitting at a receiver, but with the field conditions and a slippery ball and the wind, this ball gets out of spiral, and it's an easy interception for Coleman.
Hand off to Ricky Ervins down to the 41. In the 2 games played between these two teams, Atlanta and Washington, 6 turnovers today, 6 in week 10.
And we're seeing the perfect example of why you try so hard during the regular season to get the home field advantage. The run and shoot just cannot handle these type of weather conditions. And when you combine that with a fantastic defensive game plan by Richie Pettibone, too much for the Falcons to overcome.
2nd down and 4. Here's Ervins again. Searching to the outside. 1st down, Washington.
Heads-up play by Ervins for a rookie, sliding, not going out of bounds, keeping the clock rolling. Gave up some yardage to keep the clock rolling. That's a veteran play by Ricky Ervins. Watch, he sees the sideline coming up, and he's going to take the dive right here for us and keep that clock going.
Save.
You notice he's keeping his head out of the water.
Well, he could drown.
That's that pop-up slide.
Ricky Ervins, injury problems at Southern Cal, 3rd-round draft choice. Joe Gibbs said Charlie Casserly put together films of the 7 or 8 running backs they were considering. And this is the man they selected, and boy, has he paid big dividends for them. Ricky Ervins.
And they remembered Ricky's performance in the Rose Bowl. But the Redskins have made a lot of right moves to be in this position.
Set out in Southern California, he had no idea he was going to be coming to the Redskins. He was, a year ago this weekend, he was pulling for the New York Giants and Bill Parcells.
And I'm sure that his teammates will forgive him for a little while. But one of the interesting things, though, yesterday when we were talking to him, he's just a rookie. You got to remember that. Monty Coleman was next on our list to talk to. Monty said, "Hey, rookie, get out of that chair. You're out of here."
When is a rookie no longer a rookie?
Well, technically, after the 3rd game of his 2nd year. But some guys, they're rookies their whole lives.
4 tight ends now in for the Redskins on 1st down. And the clock shows 4:18 and counting. Rick Bryan makes the tackle. We talked about that fashion contest that the Atlanta Falcons had yesterday, and they are a very loose group and a lot of fun to be around. And Jamie Dukes was telling us the difference in the fashion show was Tim McKyer. That Chris Hinton said, you can't wear a plastic belt. You got to know the cuffs have been in for 8 years. And on top of that, McKyer wore brass instead of gold. And that was the difference. Well, we checked around and said, who is the worst dressed player on the Atlanta Falcons? Sad to say, it was a defensive line.
Some guy from Oklahoma out there.
Where's 77? Here's the blitz on the run. And the handoff is down at the 28-yard line. 3:25 to go. No timeouts left for Atlanta, of course.
And Ervins is getting close to that 100-yard mark. Needs just 5 more yards. But with the time, no timeouts, no way to stop the clock, the Redskins can put this one away. But it's interesting that Gibbs is going with Ervins in this situation now instead of Ernest Biner. He says that Ervins has given him a lot of big plays all year long.
3rd down and 5. Washington at home next week against either Dallas or Detroit. Ervins, here's his 100. And a few more to tack on for good pleasure. Congratulations from Ed Simmons. Tracy Eaton with the tackle.
Watch as they hit off the left side here with the counter move here. Ervins gets around the corner, and now Dion gets tripped up by the
Thought that was second base.
seat cushion there.
Ervins 104 yards in the ball game. Dallas and Detroit coming up tomorrow on CBS. Wilbur Marshall and Brad Edwards begin the celebration, or rather continue it, on the Redskin bench. 2 minutes to go. Washington up by 17, in control. They'll win it.
Hey, sports fans, get a ticket to Bud Bowl 4, and you could win $1 million cash.
$1 million bucks.
But you can't get that ticket just anywhere.
Bud Bowl tickets? Huh? Bud Bowl tickets. Sorry. Bud Bowl tickets.
Yukon Huskies travel to Champaign, Illinois to take on the Fighting Illini. That's coming up live after the NFL postgame show. 2 minutes to go. 24-7. Washington leads it. Turnovers have caused a problem for the Atlanta Falcons. They can't stop the clock. And on the sideline, of course, the Redskins having some fun now with the Atlanta theme song, Too Legit to Quit.
Yeah, I think they're having a little bit of trouble with Too Legit. Too Legit ain't spit. Is that what is that the way it goes?
Well, there's Hammer. I'm on your side. He toughed it out today and stuck with Jerry Glanville in the bunch.
I wonder what happened to MC part of that, though. I mean, he's going the way of Cher, huh? And Madonna,
yeah.
One name.
You reach that kind of status, and it's one name.
Oh, it's kind of like Vern.
Yeah, there's that guy in Tennessee who keeps doing those commercials. Trying to get rid of him for years. Mark Rippon on second down. They will stop the clock again. For Jerry Glanville and the Falcons. By the way, Evander Holyfield was on the bench. I see Hammer still over there. I don't know if the heavyweight champion has gone to drier ground. And for the Redskins, at home next week against either Dallas or Detroit. There's Evander.
There he is.
He's too legit to quit.
He had a little tough time last time out, though. Now they're talking about him and George again.
Mike Ken, 14th year in the league. And the season will end today. Class act. The Washington Redskins will be at home a week from tomorrow, the NFC Championship game against either Dallas or Detroit. They run their postseason record here under Joe Gibbs to 8-1. Jim Hannafin on the right. Offensive line coach. No sacks again today. Better than 140 yards. Our game today produced by Mark Wolf, directed by Larry Cavallina. The NFL Today produced by Eric Mann, directed by Duke Struck. The senior producer of the NFL on CBS is Ed Gora, and the executive producer is Ted Shaker. (24-7). Joe